Hello and welcome to Georgia Bulldogs Live here on the Georgia Voice of College Football. I'm your host, Matt Green. My co-host over there, Bo Underwood. Bo, how you feeling today?
Good. I'm a bit under the weather. You might be able to tell, but I'm doing all right. Matt, how are you?
I can't complain, man. I feel like we just ended our conversation from Sunday morning, and we're back on here. But yeah, man, we've turned the page from Alabama. I guess we'll have one last thing to say about it, even though I'm sure Georgia fans don't really want to talk about it at all. But yeah, man, just baseball season is over. It's officially just football. I guess baseball season's not officially over.
It's just beginning.
It's the playoffs. Yeah, I swear when the Braves are not in the playoffs, it's like the MLB playoffs might as well not even exist to me.
I kind of agree.
But as bad as this Braves season was for Braves fans, we can all celebrate in the whatever $340 million payroll New York Mets missing the playoffs. So we can at least dunk on the Mets a little bit. But yeah, Braves aren't dunking on many people after the year they had this year. But that's another conversation for another show. We're on here talking college football, sir. And this is the last thing I'll say about the Alabama conversation, and we'll officially put a period on it after this. Where do you rank this loss to Alabama in 2025 on the worst losses of the Kirby Smart era? Is it up there? Is it top 5? Does it register?
Yeah, it's up there, definitely.
And what is? Well, let me preface this. What is your definition of the worst loss? Is it the loss to the worst team, or is it the loss that just made you feel the worst? How does it? Where do you rank it?
I think it's just kind of a case by case thing. But yeah, I would say more the second thing. Just what the loss means for your season, how good your team is, how you were supposed to fare in that game, and like just the way that it happened. I would say all kind of culminate in a bad loss. You kind of have to hit a little bit of everything, but like I don't think you always just have to lose to a cupcake for it to be a bad loss. You can have a really bad loss, be to a great team, which Georgia has had.
Yeah, that's true. Kind of like piggybacking on like the Braves we were just talking about. Like this is far from the worst season in Braves history from a win-loss perspective. But when you talk about a team that was second or third preseason favorites to win the World Series, and they're like the third or fourth worst team in the National League. From that perspective, it feels like the worst year in like Braves history.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would say I'll come on and just say, like, I think the worst loss Georgia's had of the Kirby era, in my opinion, is the 2023 SEC championship. I just think when you consider that was a team that, was 12-0 and supposed to be the best team in the country. I mean, at that point, they were number 1 going into the game, were they not? Like,
yeah, I'm pretty sure they were number 1 from week 1.
Going for 3 straight national titles. You've got a chance to beat Alabama. They were literally coming off of a win over Alabama already. Like, people forget, I guess this loss and the 2024 loss, and then the game that I'm talking about, all 3 together have kind of made us forget a little bit about that 21 national championship. But, for a long time, the feeling was for a while, Alabama doesn't own Georgia anymore because Georgia finally beat them. But now, since Alabama has since won 3 straight against them, that's the narrative once again. And they had a chance to kind of, I think, put that to bed forever if they had won the 23 SEC championship and would have gone on to make a playoff and maybe even win the 3rd straight natty. But that didn't happen. They lost to an Alabama team that they shouldn't have lost to.
Yeah, and it's the other narrative, which is just like message board, like Twitter, shit posting type stuff. But like Alabama fans being like, "Oh, Georgia fans won it all in 2022 because they didn't have to play Alabama," And it's like, I just shrugged that off. It's like, well, yeah, the team that didn't get to the SEC championship, sure, we hung 50 on LSU. Like you guys were over there playing, who did they play, Kansas State or something in like the Sugar Bowl or something. I think that year. Like I'm not sweating over you guys not making it to the game we played, but now we're sitting at a point in history where we played Alabama in 2020, 2021, 2023, 2024, now 2025, and 2022 is legitimately that only year that they didn't have to play Bama, and they went undefeated that year. So maybe there's something to it. We're not going to give them that satisfaction, but I think that's a good call. I think because I think the worst like loss in terms of the worst team, I think is not even really close. Because I mean, year one of Kirby Smart, you kind of throw out that whole year.
They lost to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, right. They lost to Vanderbilt. I can't even remember who else. The Tennessee Hail Mary, Ole Miss blew them out. Honestly, that's probably one of the bigger beatdowns to Chad Kelly and that team.
Yeah, that's probably the most they've ever lost by under Kirby.
Beat TCU in the bowl game. Lost to Tech that year as well. Yeah. But yeah, the 2019 South Carolina game is clearly like that worst opponent. But and when you look at it, maybe the playoff committee gives Georgia the benefit of the doubt if they're 12-0 going into that LSU game, and then they lose to LSU and they're now the 4 seed or something in the playoff. But I mean, there's no scenario where you're going to beat that LSU team, so it's hard to say like that's a heartbreaking loss. But yeah, I think last year versus Ole Miss kind of pops up into my head in just terms of like the domination. 2018 versus LSU, that one of the more uncompetitive games I can remember of the Kirby Smart era, just where just nothing really happened. That's kind of similar to last year's Ole Miss game. A sneaky disappointing game is the 2018 Sugar Bowl, maybe the 2019 Sugar Bowl, but 2018 season. That loss to Texas, where we almost lost Uga in the process as well. But just because Georgia players were so like active on social media, like dunking on Oklahoma and stuff, after Georgia had that epic 2018 SEC championship game versus Alabama, and Alabama was just beating the hell out of Oklahoma in the playoff, like all these Georgia fans, or all these Georgia players, I should say, on social media talking about how they should be in the playoff and all that, and then you just kind of overlook Texas. And I think Texas was up big at one point in that game, but it ended 28-21. Was that 21-0?
Yeah, they were up 20. I think they were up 20. It was either 21-0 or 28-7. Yeah, they went up 21 at one point. Georgia scored 2 touchdowns at the end.
Yeah, I remember they made it close at the end, but that's up there. And just
that was when Ellinger was like, "We're back."
Yeah, that's right.
So, like, the biggest win they've ever had.
But yeah, these last 3 to Alabama, it's like last year losing in Tuscaloosa. It's like, look, we lost an epic game. It's a long season. You still won the SEC championship, so maybe that makes it sting a little bit less. But I think I'm with you. I think 2023 SEC championship is still the worst. But just from an ego perspective, because I mean, we didn't even name a national championship loss to Alabama because it was year 2. Yeah. And it felt like there was such positivity around it. It was like, we're just happy to be there. We're like, we legitimately were just happy to be there.
That loss did suck. That might have been the worst, like, 5 minutes following a Georgia loss in the Kirby Smart era, because it was like, oh my God, I just watched us lose the national championship in one play. Yeah. But then kind of, I remember that off season, it was like, oh wow, look at this team that Georgia's got. Look at the future they've got. It was more seen as like a stepping stone, and it ended up being one. But
yeah, exactly. It was, and the way it happened, it was so similar to that 2012 SC championship game. How you had the multiple catches to Arthur Lynch, and Georgia has all this momentum going down. They don't spike it, and then the Connolly catches that ball and then just falls down. It's like, whoa, it's over. Like we were just coming down. Now it's over. Yeah. It's like Davin Bellamy gets that sack. Now it's 2nd and 26. And it's over. And it's like, whoa, wait, what just happened? We just got 2nd and 26. We were excited. And a loss of 16 on the first play in overtime. I would love to see the percentages on the number of games that teams have won after losing 15 yards on their first play. But we we have to go through it again. But yeah, it was like the way that happened. It was just so sudden. But yeah, it was just like, and Kirby Smart basically spoke for the whole Georgia fan base. Like, this program's not going anywhere. Everything he said.
That ended up being a pretty like legendary press conference, because everything that he said really did come true. I mean,
yeah.
You know how many times coaches get up there and they say like, "We'll be back," and they never get back.
Like, yeah, I'm sure. I don't know what Sonny Dykes. I don't know what Sonny. I don't know what Sonny Dykes said his post game after the TCU Georgia national championship, but I imagine he said something similar. And it's not been that for TCU, but yeah, I think just ego wise, like this feels like as as high as the rest of them because it's like almost that 2023 SEC championship. It's almost like you couldn't break a Georgia fan's heart in 2023. Like, bro, we just saw 2 national championships back to back. Like, yeah, we would have really loved a third, but what can you do? It was frustrating seeing Michigan and Alabama play a month later that you're like, we're better than these teams.
Smoke these guys.
This is so frustrating. But yeah, so I feel like it might rank up there near the top in just terms of like feeling wise of just, are you kidding me? They really do. Maybe it's because I was one of the few that was holding out that like Georgia doesn't just have some Alabama kryptonite. It's not that. And now I'm like, I guess we do. I guess it's their kryptonite. I can't even say anything anymore.
Yeah, the one thing I was holding on to is like they've never had to go to Athens before with Kirby as the coach. And they go in, they're not even top 15, and they go into Athens and they beat Georgia. Like that really, I mean, I know maybe I'm just late to the punch on being like, okay, Alabama really does own Georgia, but like that felt like Georgia's last chance to. And I know every time they play each other from here on out, it'll be a new chance for Kirby to prove himself. I'm not saying that like it's just the book is closed forever now, but it kind of does feel like we've hit like a critical period in the rivalry where it's like there is a clear big bro, little bro dynamic here going on. I think it sucks to admit.
Yeah, for sure. I can't even hate on SEC shorts. I don't know if you saw that. They had the little like Maury thing, basically saying like, Alabama, you are the father.
I gotta watch that.
Yeah, can't even. Those guys always do a great job. So I can't even hate. But yeah, it's frustrating and seeing that corner of the stadium just celebrating as
I was right.
The game was coming to an end. Yeah,
it's just the other corner of the end zone. I had a direct view.
Yeah, it's the worst. So that is why, because they came into Sanford Stadium and did it again. That's why this one does feel. I don't know. It feels the worst, even though some of those other ones I named weren't great. Just the Alabama losses hit a little bit different.
Yeah. Especially because they just keep coming in new ways. You know, there's like a force multiplier whenever you lose to Alabama. It just compounds with the frustration from the last time.
Yeah, for sure. And the last time it was like I was personally frustrated because I just trashed Jalen Milroe the entire offseason, and then he goes out and he looks like the best player in college football against us. But and then turns out he wasn't very good, and he had a lot of those games where he just looked pretty average and turned the ball over. But we got a couple comments in here.
Go Dogs.
Thomas T-Bone, go Dogs. Thomas, appreciate you watching as always. And then we got a couple comments from, let's see, Georgia Gal 12. Who we got in here? Yeah. Bo, love your souvenir cup.
My NCRT souvenir cup.
Is that NCRT?
NCRT and Freddie Freeman, but
I like it.
I like that it has Ender NCRT.
The forgotten all-star Ender NCRT. Let's see. Georgia Gal, I want to talk about the decision to go for it on fourth down at Alabama's 8 with so much time left. What do you guys think? And the staff saw there. We did kind of get into this on the instant reaction, but what do you want to go for it, Bo?
I'll go back through it because I know it is the big point in the game. I actually think it was kind of the right decision to go for it, like on 4th and 1, down by 3 against your, with 10 minutes left against your big rival. Like, I think that's kind of where you want to trust your players to get the yard there and make a play. But I just think that they called a bad play. They rushed to the line and tried to catch him off guard with the handoff to Cash Jones. That's just not a good play call. I know it's easy to sit here and say that in hindsight, but really, I mean, you've got 3-4 running backs that would be better for that situation. One of them is Chauncey Bowens, who's having a career day. You could go play action if you wanted to. You've got a quarterback that's got legs that can run it. There's just a bunch of other things I would have rather done there than actually just than try to get the quick snap and give it to Cash Jones, the receiving running back. But that's what they chose to do. And I know also, I mean, and you wouldn't have really been wrong to kick a field goal either, because Woodring is maybe the best kicker in the country. But again, I do stand by the decision to go for it. I think that was the right decision. It's just execution was just very bad.
Yeah, I think it's easy to second guess when you shut out Alabama in the second half and you just didn't force them to score any points at all. So you have kind of all the momentum and now it's a tie ball game early fourth quarter. I can obviously see the argument, but I'm kind of like you, like it felt like we dominated Alabama on the ground. Like let's keep doing that. But if you're gonna do that, don't get cute. Like
Yeah.
bring in your biggest, baddest running back and have him make Alabama stop him on short yardage. And Josh McCray, for the most part, was not getting stopped on short yardage. Like and Chauncey Bowens was picking up 10 yards every time he touched the ball. So and like you said, I was wondering when you said like 3 or 4 guys, I was like, well, Nate Frazier's not one of them. So I'm wondering who you're going to name because I don't think we trust Nate Frazier to hold on to that ball. But Gunnar Stockton, I think, was the third option that I would rather see instead of Cash Jones.
I would have rather seen Frazier. I get them pulling Frazier after the fumble. That might have been the right call too, just for his development because he's really struggled with that. But I would rather see a cold Nate Frazier who's had his butt on the bench for the last 3 quarters or 2 quarters or however much it was than Cash Jones. Cash Jones is a good player for what he is. He's a good change of pace receiving threat that can do good things for you on passing downs, but he's not the guy. That's too big brain of them. That's thinking too far ahead, trying to be too smart, being like, we're gonna give it to this guy because no one expects us to. There's a reason no one expects you to, because he's not gonna get the first down. Like that's just getting cute, man. That's all it is.
Yeah, I think so. And last question here from Georgia Gal. Well, not last question. If you come up with any more questions, feel free to throw them in. Great questions. Do you guys think they were just being bold to recoup what we lost on the drop pass to Taylor? I think only Mike Bobo knows the answer to that. Maybe. I mean, they definitely don't go for it if they score that touchdown to Taylor. They kick the field goal to go up 7. Early in the fourth quarter, but. Yeah, I'm still I know drops happen, things like that happen, but man, just such a giant moment. And we're talking about this 4th down call, but if Taylor makes that catch, like it's a completely different story. It's a completely different fourth quarter. Like, who knows? Maybe Ty Simpson is forcing something because he's got to make a play and Georgia forces a turnover in the fourth quarter. Like, we'll never know, but yeah, I think it's definitely possible if Taylor, like I said, only Mike Bobo knows the true answer to that. But if Taylor makes that catch, Georgia definitely approaches that differently.
Yeah, it's absolutely not ridiculous to suggest that play might have been in the back of their minds when they made the decision to go for it on 4th down, just because it was just such a big missed opportunity. And football guys are always all about controlling their own destiny and writing your own story, dominating the game on your terms. So I'm sure they kind of were thinking about that. But yeah, I think that I know that everybody wants to talk about the 4th down, and for good reason, because in a vacuum that was the biggest play of the game. That probably did decide the game more than any other individual play. But I think the Taylor drop and the Frazier fumble were the 2 bigger moments in that game, because I think if either of those plays goes Georgia's way, either Taylor catches that ball or Frazier just gets tackled without fumbling, I don't think Georgia even ends up in that 4th down situation at all. I think they end up in a much better position. I think they probably win the game. So it's just tough, man. That's just football. I mean, one or 2 plays just decides the game when you've got 2 good teams like this, and you gotta be happy when you win them, and you gotta live with it when you lose them that way.
For sure. And not that you can just extrapolate like, oh, this happened and then the very next drive this happened, but Georgia did fumble on that drive. It held Alabama to a field goal. Their following drive, they went 11 plays, 75 yards, and put one in the end zone. So instead of being down 17-7, you're down 14-7, and you put together a 75-yard touchdown drive. Granted, I think it would have had to been like a 90-yard drive because they were starting at like their own 10 on that one Frazier fumbled. But yeah, maybe even deeper. But yeah, I mean, if Georgia does go on that touchdown drive, it's without that fumble, it's 14-14. And then, that last drive of the first half, Alabama takes a 7-point lead instead of taking a 10-point lead. That kind of, it ended up being insurmountable, but a 10-point lead isn't insurmountable going into a second half. But Georgia was not able to make up
surmount it.
for it. Yeah, they were not able to surmount it. There you go. But yeah, good questions, Georgia Gal. Thank you for watching live, chiming in here. But yeah, so I mean that's really all I have left to say about the Alabama game. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add in there.
If we really want to talk about it, we could. But I thought we got all of the real feelings out in the instant reaction, and even then we had to sleep on it. Like
for sure. But the top 25, new top 25 poll is out this week, sir. Yep. And you see all the way down there at number 12.
Look at CB with 4 first place votes. Ooh, I'm just playing.
You're talking Carson Beck. Yeah, I tried to warn Georgia fans of this months and months ago that like Miami was going to be good this year, and Carson Beck is probably going to be good also. Like you're going to see them up there all season, and unfortunately, this storyline won't go away. Luckily, I think Georgia's got a good quarterback, and it's not necessarily a storyline like I think Penn State should be. On the other hand, when Bo Pribula clearly looks better than Drew Aller right now.
That's pretty awesome, dude.
Yeah, and Penn State's up here at 7. Like, yeah. I'm just shocked. Like Penn State has played nobody through 3 games and then loses to Oregon. I guess we're counting good losses now. Has you number 7,
but Alabama's apparently not a good loss because Georgia fell by 7.
Yeah, what are we doing here?
If you're going to move Georgia down 7, you've got to move Penn State down at least 5 or 6. Or if you're going to only move Penn State down 4.
I guess the definition is Oregon is number 2, Alabama's number 10, and I think Alabama is probably the reason Georgia fell as low as it did because you had to put Alabama in front.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was looking at this and I had some notes. Let's see here. So Georgia's ranked 12th. This is their lowest ranking since 2020. They were ranked 13 after the Florida loss in 2020. But here's a crazy stat for you. So they were ranked 11th last year after the loss to Ole Miss prior to the Tennessee game. Then they jumped back into the top 10. Since Georgia beat Mississippi State in 2017, which was I think like the last week of September or so that year. This is now the 6th week since September of 2017 that Georgia has been ranked outside of the top 10.
That's wild. Yeah,
yeah, the 6th week in the last 9 seasons, basically, or last 8 seasons. That Georgia is ranked outside the top 10. So, not the worst, but not the best. You're sitting here at 10. It's an interesting top 10 right now. Ole Miss sitting at 4. Ohio State and Oregon don't play in the regular season this year. You got Miami at 3, Ole Miss and Oklahoma up at 4 and 5. Ole Miss, Oklahoma, and A&M at 4, 5, 6. There's kind of like a big 3 talk in the SEC coming into this year, and I don't think anyone had Ole Miss, Oklahoma, or A&M as one of those big 3. But yeah, Penn State, Indiana, Texas, and then Alabama, and round out the top 10. Texas Tech sneaking up there at 11, and then Georgia at 12.
LSU number 13 now?
Yeah, I have the rest of the poll right over. I'm looking at it. Yeah, LSU is 13 now. Iowa State 14. Tennessee and Vanderbilt at 15, 16. Yeah. I think it's 17. Florida State 18.
This is the first time since I forget. I can't even say the first time since when, but this is the first time in like decades that Alabama and Vandy are playing each other and they're both ranked. I think that's pretty cool.
Decades is an understatement. I think it's like the first time since like 1936.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't want to say that and then like have it be like since like, oh, they were ranked in like 2000. But like that's what I thought I saw. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's something like that. We're almost going on like a century of the last time Alabama Vanderbilt was a ranked matchup.
I think my big takeaway from this poll is like I don't mean to complain too much about Georgia being out of the top 10. I get that if they wanted to be in the top 10, they should have just won their game. But
they'd probably be sitting at number
the big
2
thing
or 3 right now.
For me that's sticking out is the big riser on here, Ole Miss at 4. I mean, I think that game in Sanford in mid-October is looking more and more just huge by the day. That you already have the narrative with the way that things went for Georgia last year and how they got smacked, and all of Lane Kiffin has just been strutting his way around the country this year, talking a big old game about everybody. Like, that game is probably going to be game day. I'd be willing to bet, unless there's another game that week. That's just crazy.
If Georgia takes care of business, it could be. I don't know. Hopefully, we don't have another loss before then.
That looks like a huge game, and I know Texas is coming a few weeks after, and I don't mean to discount them either. But the Ole Miss game is first, so I'm harping on it more. But yeah, that's my big thing. Feel it like if they're still top 5 by the time they come to Athens, whew.
Yeah, and all they have is Washington State. So they have a bye week this week, and then they get Washington State at home, which is a very weird mid-October game, to be honest. And then at Georgia, and then at Oklahoma. Ole Miss,
they've got
Ole Miss will have, yeah.
Yeah, dude, I forget how crazy the SEC gets once we get out of September, man.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Ole Miss, and that's, I think we were sitting here as had it as one of the biggest games of the season when the season started, but no one was putting it ahead of Oklahoma, ahead of Alabama or Texas.
Yeah.
I wasn't putting it ahead of Tennessee. I probably wasn't putting it ahead of Auburn. Just because of going into Jordan-Hare. Like, I'm still worried about that, especially now Auburn, with just how bad it's been with Jackson Arnold. They're going to go through a bye. Like, what are the chances, we see Deuce Knight or just some sort of wrinkle that Auburn just throws out their entire offense and they're a brand new one here in 2 weeks when Georgia comes to town. They should be, at least, because the offense has not shown up the last couple weeks. But yeah, so Auburn and Florida, I guess, is another team that had a lot of hype coming to the year. I would say as much, if not more hype than Ole Miss coming in. So it's and let's not just discount Georgia Tech either, sitting at 16. But yeah, Ole Miss now potentially being the highest ranked team on Georgia's entire schedule is I was not banking on that.
I wasn't either. I really thought, I mean, the media machine sure made it sound like Texas was just going to be untouchable this year. So that was the one that I really was looking forward to the most. And I still am, because I really want to play Texas again. But Ole Miss, you could probably go back in our show right a little before the season started. I was straight up talking like I didn't think Ole Miss was going to be good. I thought that they had just lost so much talent, and that last year was the best team that they're ever going to have. And maybe it still was in terms of just talent on paper, but they look really good this year. They're 5-0. They've got some pretty big wins. I mean, they look like a good team.
Yeah, I think there still could be a little too much hype right now on them. Yeah. I think I personally, I don't know if we said it here, but I definitely personally have said before that I think the 2024 team is going to be Lane Kiffin's best team ever. I just don't think they'll consistently have that defensive talent to go with what they have on offense. But damn, this defense looks pretty good so far. So I could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, LSU is really the one good victory. Like, Tulane is one of the better G5 schools in the country, or is it G6 now? I guess now that there's not now it's P4. I guess it's G6.
Yeah, I guess so.
But yeah, like, they played Kentucky like pretty close. Have the win over LSU, which, I mean, I still think LSU is a good team. Like, you don't want to do the whole, who have they played? Oh yeah, they beat them. Oh, but who have they played? And then it's like a whole just circle of logic. But with that said, Clemson and Florida both appear to be two like very mediocre teams, and if mediocre might be a stretch when talking about someone like Florida. So maybe those are good wins, maybe they're not. But those are on LSU's resume, and Ole Miss was able to beat them. So I mean, just on its surface, being ranked number 12 and beating number 3, like, that's, if the polls are what the polls are, then like that's a good win, and you deserve to go up for it. So
yeah.
Same with Alabama being number 2, number like 16, number 15, and beating number 5. Like,
they deserve to be top 10, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, to this point, I mean, I think we just need to adopt the model of like just good wins getting teams up here. And A&M, Oklahoma, they like. A&M beat Notre Dame. Oklahoma beat Auburn, and who else has Oklahoma beat at this point? Michigan.
Yeah.
Penn State and Texas are sitting here because they were number 1 and number 2 in the first poll, basically. Like, they have done nothing to this point. Like, they've played a bunch of cupcakes and lost to the one good team they played. And Texas looked pretty bad against that one good team. Even if Ohio State is number one, Texas is just, I don't know. We're just going off of preseason vibes to have Penn State and Texas there at this point.
Yeah, we'll see how they look in the swamp this week, man. I mean, if Florida if Billy Napier wants any chance of saving his job, it's going to be beating Texas. Although it might be too late for him, even if they do that. I don't know.
It might be. I wonder, because like Arkansas with Sam Pittman, like you could tell by second quarter of that game, like they gave up. Like that team had given up on their coach. Like, I don't know. It was the one, were they up 42-13 before the half? Or something?
They were checked out of that.
Yeah, that screen pass, the dude goes all the way across the field. Yeah. Like dudes were loafing on that play for sure. I don't know that the same is true about Florida yet. Florida could have some give up potential, some quit potential, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, if they don't, you go into the swamp. There's plenty of good teams that have left the swamp with a loss over a Florida team that was not as good. So I'm not penciling in. I think it's like a 6.5, 7 point spread at this point. It's definitely not a gimme, especially since we don't know what Texas is to this point.
It's not to use a double negative. It's not a game that's not worth watching. Like, I'll say that. I think
it's not a game that's not worth watching. Okay.
Like, I don't want to say that it's like must see TV, but I feel like the double negative kind of
you're not going to say it is worth watching.
Yeah, the double negative dampens like the point a little bit.
Yeah, I got you.
I want it to be.
What is that schedule, by the way, this week? Is that because I know Georgia, we'll get to Georgia, Kentucky, the preview. I know that's the ABC. That's the noon ABC game. I was kind of shocked.
There's a good ACC game this week. Florida State is playing Miami. I know that Florida State just lost, and the atmosphere would be way better if Florida State was still undefeated.
Yeah.
That should still be like, that'll be a fun game, I think.
Yeah, it would definitely be game day if they were undefeated. I think coming off the loss, I think they don't trust that Vanderbilt is going to like keep this going, so they just want to go to a Vanderbilt game, even though it's
that's kind of
while they still can. But yeah, Texas, Florida, Vanderbilt, Alabama are both at 3:30, and then what's that night game?
Mississippi State playing A&M.
Mississippi State A&M, is that? Oh, so the night game this week. Usually that ABC 7:30 game is an SEC game. So that's Miami, Florida State this week. That's 7:30 ABC. So yeah, another good schedule for a college football fan. But the reason these people tuned in, sir, is to talk about the Georgia Bulldogs. And the Georgia Bulldogs this week are playing the Kentucky Wildcats. That one's going to be at noon. For the betting folks out there, Georgia's a 20.5 point favorite. Over-under is 48.5. So what does that mean? That means the score should be what, 38-10? Is that essentially what that's saying?
That's what they're saying. Yeah, I think.
That math isn't mathing, but you get it.
Dang, that's
40 to 9, I guess, is
they already moved by 2 points. They were favored by 22.5 yesterday.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I think if I was a betting man, I might question Georgia's ability to cover a big spread to this point in the season, and to this point in the last 2 seasons. And I don't have the stat right in front of me, but have you seen the stat going around about Georgia that they're 4-3, I believe, in their last 7 games versus Power 4 competition, and 3 of those 4 wins were in overtime.
Ooh, that's a funny stat.
I mean, you go to the Texas, and Tennessee. I don't even know. I don't know what the other.
And Alabama, yeah.
Who would be the other one? Notre Dame.
Yeah, right.
So it would be going back, not going all the way back to Ole Miss. So, right?
I think it would go back to Ole Miss if it's 3 losses, right?
Because we have the 3 losses.
2 last year.
Yeah, you're right. So that's what it's got to be. So I guess there's one late season win that also which one was not a win in overtime? Because we haven't beaten
Tennessee last year was not in overtime.
That would have been the one. Okay. So yeah, these wins have not been easy. And that was far from an easy win, that Tennessee one. That was a game going into the 4th quarter that Georgia won by 2 scores. But Yeah, the Kentucky Wildcats come to town. And I think if you're going power rankings wise, maybe standings wise as well, I think this is the worst team in the SEC this year. They're 2-2 so far this season. And it just has been bad. They have 2 passing touchdowns in the first 4 games of the season.
They've already made a quarterback change too.
Yeah, and it's
Cutter Boley.
Yeah. Zach Calzada, shockingly, the Sugar Hill, Georgia great. Zach Calzada. I'm repping Sugar Hill, by the way, if you were wondering. But yeah, shockingly, he didn't pan out for this one. But yeah, I mean, Cutter Boley, I guess, has been better, if you want to say that. But I mean, this team got blown out. I mean, nice start to the South Carolina game a week ago. Then they ended up getting blown out 35-13. Like, they didn't even blow out Toledo in the opener, 24-16. They did play Ole Miss strong. You know, they played Georgia tough in that SEC opener a year ago. So maybe Kentucky just knows how to come out in their SEC opener at home and give teams a tough game. But I mean, you look at this series, like right now, I mean, Georgia isn't great statistically. Like, you know, who knows what to make of these kind of national stats statistically anyway. But right now, Georgia's 38th in the country in total offense. Kentucky's 99th. Georgia's 47th in points per game. Kentucky's 80th. Georgia's 47th in defensive points per game. Kentucky's 101st. And then scoring defense, Georgia's 43rd, and Kentucky is 82nd. And I think, you know, hopefully, maybe this is just the optimistic Georgia fan. I think Georgia's sitting at 19 points per game allowed after playing maybe the 2 best offenses in the SEC. I hope the 2 best offenses in the SEC, and that we're not just looking that Georgia's going to get gashed by everybody. But the current streak, Georgia's won 15 straight. For those of you who remember the 2009 loss with Joe Cox and company, I believe was it Washawn Ely? I think that fumbled on the goal line, like going in. I think it was like a situation where Joe Cox like bumped into the running back, and I'm just gonna trust that the 5th-year senior quarterback knew which way the play was gonna go, and I'm gonna blame on the running back.
Never messed that up.
It's like there's things that Joe Cox didn't get right, but I trust that he knew the playbook. But that was the last loss in this series back in 2009. Georgia's won 26 of the last 28 in this series. But what are your thoughts? I guess early thoughts going into this week for this noon kickoff versus Kentucky.
Kentucky is just in a dire offensive situation. You know, they've already made the quarterback change, and Boley didn't really come out and look particularly good at all against South Carolina. He turned the ball over twice. I think he completed maybe half of his pass attempts. They really want to be the team that's physical and runs the ball, and they've been good at that throughout Mark Stoops' time there. I mean, Kirby Smart today was super complimentary of just the way they can play so physical, and you saw that last year. They almost beat Georgia last year because they just beat the hell out of them on the line of scrimmage that whole game. But that to say, when you're when you just have no semblance of a passing attack, and there's just no way for you to throw the ball in the air, and teams can key in on you and just shut down to stopping the run, dare your receivers, dare your quarterback to do something through the air, and you know that they can't do it. You can't win in the SEC that way these days. I mean, they were getting beat by South Carolina pretty handily the whole game. And they were still running the ball when they were down multiple scores because it was just the only thing that they could do. And that's what like high school offenses do, you know, like when they just know they can't throw the ball. So I know that Kentucky played Georgia really tough last year, almost beat them, really would have beat them 9 times out of 10 in that game. But this year's team is just much worse. I still even now. I mean, last year's team wasn't good, but this year's team is worse. Georgia's coming off a really emotional loss. They lost the one game that everyone told them they couldn't lose. I think they're going to come out pretty frustrated, and I think unfortunately the Kentucky Wildcats will be, they'll be the ones that it gets taken out on.
Yeah, I'm with you. I hope everything's all right over there by you, Bo. I'm hearing the sirens. Hope they're
Yeah,
not out to
I
get
don't
you
know
over
what
there.
side. I mean, I think everything's fine.
But yeah, I'm thinking Georgia can definitely duplicate the template that South Carolina had a week ago. Like Lenore Sellers, 11 for 14, 150 yards. Then you run for 178 against Kentucky in this one. Um, they did throw 2 interceptions, and Georgia hasn't been forcing a lot of turnovers to this point in the season. So hopefully Georgia can force some turnovers, and South Carolina got the defensive touchdown as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Alabama is actually third worst. So what is that? 13th in the 14th in the conference and rushing defense to this point. Kentucky is 13th at this point with really just the games for South Carolina and Ole Miss. So, I don't know how that compares to Alabama. I guess Alabama just has the one SEC game, and then obviously got torched by Florida State on the ground. But yeah, I tend to think I hate the noon game after the big emotional letdown. I mean, I would hope that being pissed off after a loss is enough to be motivated for the next one. But the fact that it's Kentucky, if this was a Mississippi State noon game, this was Auburn noon game the following week, I might be a little more worried. Like, even though those teams, like, I mean, not to put Mississippi State and Auburn on the same level, Mississippi State is an actually competent team to this point.
They look good.
But yeah, like one of those teams that's like the 10th to 12th best team in the SEC. Like, I might be worried about one of those. I think Kentucky's literally the worst team in this conference right now. I think Georgia has no business not running all over Kentucky. Yeah. Let me put it that way. Like, I think with how they were able to run all over Alabama, ran all over Tennessee as well. So this run game appears to be back. Maybe it's not the exciting offense people want to see when it comes to we want to see Gunner go out there and throw it for 300 yards and everything. We're probably not going to see that. We're probably going to, if everything's going according to plan, I think Gunner probably throws the ball 15, 16 times. And then maybe Ryan Puglisi has a handful of attempts in this game, and Georgia just wins it by 4 touchdowns. But this Kentucky game isn't always that easy. There's not a lot that are decided by 4 touchdowns. Like, just off the top of my head, I mean, 2023, they hung a 50 spot on them.
They put up 50 on them last time they came to Athens.
Yeah, but I think the time before that, 2021, it was game day, and they were like a top 10 team.
They had a quarterback, though. Like, they actually had a good team that year. Georgia still smoked them.
But it was a boring game, because I remember I was at that one, and it was just like a 24-10. Like, it was just kind of a boring, like, Georgia didn't really blow them out, but it was never really competitive kind of thing. Because they had that drive. They had like an 11-minute touchdown drive or something to maybe score for the first time that game or something. Because that was like the thing. Remember, in 2021, it was like a storyline of like the final drive of everyone's game. It's like, oh, can you finally score a touchdown against this Georgia defense? So it felt like a thing. But yeah, it's like they weren't trying to win that game. Like, if you go on an 11-minute drive, like down 3 touchdowns, like, you're not really trying to win a game. It's like what you're talking about, high school offense. Like, you just do what you do, and you only know how to move the ball 3 yards in a cloud of dust. So you're just going to keep moving it that way. But yeah, I think you look at what this Kentucky offense has been to this point. Like, it just hasn't been good. Cutter Boley we're talking about. They did run for some yards against South Carolina. Seth McGowan had 17 for 112 on the ground. So, but 108 yards on 41 carries isn't exactly running the ball well. So, I don't know. I'm not sure what all we can say about this Kentucky game. Like, this shouldn't be a game. Like, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. This isn't Benny Snell and was it Chris Rodriguez? Like, when Kentucky had legitimate, like, first team, second team, all SEC type of backs. Wandale Robinson, yeah.
Did you see what London Humphreys said about the noon kickoff today? I thought it was funny.
Oh, no, I didn't.
He was like, he said something. He's like, oh, like, I love noon kickoffs. Like, they're my favorite time to kick off. And he's like, I call them donut games. It's because you can wake up, eat a donut, and then you play the game. I just thought that was really funny.
Okay.
But yeah,
I guess so. Yeah, I'll take his word. He knows more than I do about that.
yeah. But yeah, no,
But
Georgia should roll in this one. I think that this is gotta be, you can't come out here hungover from the Bama game and put up a stinker. You just can't afford to do that. And I don't think that they will. I think they're gonna bounce back in this one.
yeah, so what's the what's the number one thing you want to see from Georgia this week coming off that Alabama loss?
I just want to see them. I mean, I know this is a cliche, but I really just want to see them play hard and play aggressive early. I know that it's the worst team in the SEC, but you don't need to treat these guys like cupcakes. You still need to come out there and try and start fast and dominate early. And I just think I want to see them do that. It's an inferior opponent. I'm not saying you need to go out there and run up the score. Do what you do and be classy about it. But this is just a much better team, top to bottom. Every position group Georgia has is better than every position group Kentucky has. And you better go out there and make it look like that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think just from like a specific point of view, and maybe it's a low bar, but we got to get off the field on third down. Yes. Like this 13 of 19 on third down is just the most absurd thing I've ever seen. The most third downs Georgia's given up in like 30 something years in a game. Like it was just honestly embarrassing the way Georgia wasn't able to get off the field on third down. So yeah, just to see this defensive line get some tackles for loss. Hey, maybe even a sack. I don't know. I know Kentucky's not gonna throw the ball a lot, so maybe a sack isn't in the cards, but get some tackles for loss, get some 3 and outs. Like, I think that's the biggest thing when I go back and look at that Alabama game, and you look at the box score or specifically like the play-by-plays, it's just the number of drives. Like, you got 2 drives in the fourth quarter. You got like 2 drives in like the second quarter or something. Like, it was just your defense needs to get off the field, give this team 3 or 4 possessions in a quarter, like, and just see what they can do. Cause I feel like the offense on a points per play, points per drive kind of thing was not bad in the Alabama game, but they just didn't have enough drives. Like, the defense needs to get off the field. Georgia can't afford to be a team that's losing the time of possession battle 35-25. Like, obviously this is a kind of projecting moving forward because neither of us are worried about Kentucky beating Georgia, knock on wood, famous last words. But I just think you want to see a dominant performance against an inferior team. And that's what, they're not a cupcake. This isn't Marshall. This isn't Austin Peay, but a lot of people were kind of disappointed with how the lack of domination in those games. So go out and put up a 40 spot on Kentucky, win this thing 38-10 or something like that, 41-10, and just put it on Kentucky. And let's let everyone know, like, look, we lost to Alabama. This is still one of the contenders in the SEC.
Yeah, that, and get out of there with no injuries, and you're good, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I'm curious. I guess to this point, I would think Ellis Robinson is cornerback too. DeMello Jones did play a lot, but it sounds like Daniel Harris is not part of the equation at this point. And maybe that's different versus Kentucky because it's not Alabama. And I think I'm curious to see what that running back rotation looks in this game. Chauncey Bowens and Josh McCray seem to be the 2 best in that room. And if Nate Frazier can't hang on to the ball, like, you can't play. So, like, that's the easiest way to lose playing time. So I'm curious to see, Dwight Phillips didn't get a lot of carries in that Alabama game. Maybe he gets back in the mix. Cash Jones, I hate that the amount of hate Cash Jones is getting. He's just a guy who does his job. And I'm sure he can break a tackle like that. But everyone kind of knows he's not what some of those other guys are, and you would have liked to have seen a different guy getting that ball in that 4th and 1 a week ago. But Cash Jones, I'm sure he can make a difference in this game as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of room for a lot of guys to make plays in this game. We'll just have to see what. I mean, I'm curious to see how many more chances they give Frazier. How many fumbles is Frazier away from just not playing the rest of the year? We'll just have to see.
I can't.
I'm a guy. I believe in him, but he's fumbling a lot.
I can't remember a scenario of another Georgia running back at least under Kirby Smart, fumbling this much, like in still playing. Like I just can't remember. I don't know. I remember Washawn Ely and Caleb King. Maybe they had some fumbles back in the day, as long as we're revisiting 2009, 2010. But yeah, I don't know. I can't think of many guys. Like Adrian Peterson is one of the only great running backs I can ever remember like that.
Yeah.
That had fumble issues. And if you're Adrian Peterson, yeah, maybe you can get away with that. Nate Frazier, you're not Adrian Peterson. So you got to hold on to that
What he
ball.
is. Yeah. Absolutely.
Last question here. Georgia Gal, one more. What do y'all think Kirby is saying in the locker room this week to make sure last weekend is not a defining game for our season? Bo, you want to take that?
I would imagine it's just a lot of just, remember who you are. You can't nowadays, especially in college football, if you lose a regular season game, they give you 3 extra lives because of the expanded playoffs. So, they know that they're not done yet. They know that their season isn't over yet. And Kirby, I think they do a good job of recruiting kids that think like that on their own, who don't really need a lot of extra motivation. But yeah, I would at least imagine from an outsider's perspective that they're just, you got to put it behind you. You got to keep going at it and just keep working.
Yeah, I don't know what the exact verbiage is, but this is like one of those things Kirby Smart talks about all the time of just like not letting one game beat you twice. Basically, I think he literally said something along those lines in the post game press conference after Alabama. But yeah, I mean, I think if there's anything that like I trust when it comes to like, people might scoff at me putting Kirby Smart and Nick Saban in the same conversation, but just I think that's where those two guys are like unmatched. Is it's like the every week thing, just like the getting your team ready to play every single week. Because that's the thing I think most people aren't really factoring in this year and last year. It's like because of the slow first halves, it feels like Georgia, we're not ready to play in the first half, and it's like maybe we're not that good. It's like maybe 2024, like Kirby said, it was his best coaching job of his career. Maybe he knew that team didn't have the talent that those previous 3 or 4 teams had, and somehow they won the SEC, and he's pretty proud of that. So I think on a week-to-week basis, Kirby knows how to get this team ready to play, and he'll get them ready to play. So we might be the fans might be napping a little bit, might be snoozing, filing in late for that noon kickoff. I don't recommend filing in late, man. Those concourses are tight. I'm sure it's not all the same as that Alabama game, but it was a little traffic jam there for a minute. But yeah, it's I trust that Kirby will get this team ready to play. But yeah, you want to see a better performance this week. I don't think necessarily last week was an awful performance. It wasn't good enough to beat, maybe the best team you've played so far. So, they come out and play the way they did against Alabama. It's probably good enough to beat Kentucky by multiple scores, but you just want to see, less mistakes more than anything. The fumbles, the missed blocks, like you want to see execution, and I trust playing against the worst team in the SEC, Georgia's going to come out and take care of business.
Yeah, I think we've not seen the last of the 2025 Bulldogs. I don't think the Alabama loss needs to define the season just yet.
Yeah, definitely not. Let's see our preseason score predictions. Let's see if we want to stand by them. Ooh,
yeah.
You went with a very score.
What did I say?
You had 24-3 in this one. I wonder how Georgia fans are going to feel about 24-3. That'll feel like a sleepy Kentucky type of game.
That would be covering the spread.
That would be covering the spread. I had a 34-10 coming in. That would not be. Wait, that would be covering the spread as well. That's 24 points. Yeah, I guess I'll stand by that. You feeling your 24-3?
I'll give them one more touchdown. I'll go 31-3.
31-3. Okay.
But
yeah, I wouldn't. I like 31-3 more than 24-3. That feels a little more dominant. Also, fun fact: your preseason prediction for Alabama was 28-24 Alabama. So you were pretty. You're pretty
I
close
picked
to that
Alabama
one.
to win. Okay,
You did have Alabama winning that one. I had Georgia 31-26. So If Taylon Taylor makes that catch, and maybe they
Yeah.
kick the field goal in that 4th and 1, what are we looking at? 30, 31-24 or something at that point?
Yeah, at that point.
Could have been. What shoulda, woulda, coulda. This is what can you do? But yep, that's all I got, sir, for this week. And some more another loaded SEC schedule, but we'll get our game out of the way at noon and be able to enjoy the rest of the day, hopefully, assuming Georgia takes care of business. But that's all I got, sir. Let's watch some Monday Night Football and all that good stuff. And
got a great game on right now. Jets Dolphins.
Okay, I know
There's another game there too. It's
oh, that's right. There's 2 tonight, right?
It's Broncos Bengals, which is also not the most interesting game, but it'll be right on the Jets Dolphins.
Yeah, Bengals. There's nothing worse than being a big time team with a injured quarterback playing prime time games, and no one wants to see Jake Browning.
I know, but you at least get to watch Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
This is true. And the Dolphins are busting out those black jerseys tonight, right?
Oh yeah. I haven't even seen them yet.
I saw. I don't
even know what they're going to look like.
Yeah, I saw one of those cool ASMR videos of them painting the field, and I don't know. It's very satisfying watching them paint the field for the Dolphins for the game tonight. But all right, sir. That's all I got. Until next time, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.